Alright, hey guys, welcome to my brand new very cool tutorial. What do you think about you liking stuff, right? I really slur my words way too much. Alright then, now let's get down to business with Maya. So now once you got Maya up and running, you're going to open up the file that we exported from PFTrack. So go over to File, and of course press Open Scene, or Control-O, and open up your file. So mine is under test.ma on my desktop. And the first thing you're going to notice when you open up your file is that you're going to have a bunch of orange trackers, your camera, and this error down here that says unable to load the image file, whatever, desktop image sequence. Okay? So if you turn around in your viewport, you're going to notice that your camera plane doesn't actually have any image sequence on it, even if you go through the frames. So what you got to do now, of course, is the easy peasy uploading of your image sequences. So to upload your image sequence into here, you're going to either select your image plane or your camera. And you're going to go over here towards your attribute editor. And if you don't know how to do that, you just need to select your attribute editor button right here, which is conveniently next to your tool settings and your channel box. So open that up. Go over to the last one, which should say camera 1 plane, or just anything with plane at the end. And now you're going to go down to under image file and image name, you're going to select that little folder right there. And now what you're going to do is you're just going to select your image sequence. So go around and find it. Mine is, of course, under image sequence. And mine is the IFF. So it's test.000.iff. Cool. Everything seems in order. Select it and open up panels right here. Go select your camera 1 panel and go through the frames. And if you notice, everything is perfectly fine. Actually, it may look pretty bad to you because, frame rate that I'm watching and the frame rate you're going to watch on YouTube might be different. But in any case, this will look great on your end. Alright, now there's only one last thing I want to do before we finally head on to our modeling and rendering, and that is to lock the camera's attributes. So basically what happens when I do some rendering and 3D animation modeling with scenes like this is I'll have 2 different views. So press spacebar here. I'll close my bottom 2 viewports, and I'll change this one to our perspective. So in the meantime, while I have our render view of the camera right here going along, I can in the meantime have this viewport moving around lights, things and the stuff of like. But sometimes what will happen is I'll have my auto keyframe on for animation purposes, of course, and it will actually move the camera itself around it once I select to it. So that's really a bad thing to do because it's very hard to get out of once you do that. So what we're going to do, just in case to prevent this, and you should do this anyways as part of your workflow, is we're going to log the camera's attributes. So in order to do that, it's really simple. We just got to go over to our channel box by selecting it. So just, go over here and select channel box. We're going to whip bound select everything of our attributes. So we're going to go to translate X, which is the topmost attribute. Go down to center of interest while holding down shift, right click anywhere, and now select lock selected. So from there, if we try to move the camera, even while in perspective, it'll show up gray, size, rotation, the usual stuff, even with the universal selector tool or manipulator tool, sorry. And that's very helpful. So after that, we're now ready to press forward on with our ground plane and then start with our rendering. Alright, now there's only one last thing you need to do before we can finally start rendering. You want to change now your render settings. So I have Mental Ray automatically loaded into my computer, and today Mental Ray is going to be our render engine. Okay, since it comes free with Maya and is automatic. If you don't have Mental Ray selected like I do, what you can do is, of course, go to Window, Settings and Preferences, select Plugin Manager, and go down and find Maya tomr.ml. It should be under Maya Muscle, Maya. It should be under the Maya stuff, okay? Now make sure you have loaded. Whoops, that's never happened before. Make sure you have loaded and auto loaded selected in future projects, okay? So now you got that selected. Go back up to your render settings by clicking this little button. I forgot what that thing for movies is called. The clip, something like that. Anyways. File output, leave it at my IFF. Of course, these are only going to be used as renders that we're going to use to build up our final render. Frame range, we don't need to worry about that until the very end. Renderable cameras, you need to select your render cam that you're going to use for this entire project. For your image size, you want to keep it somewhat small, unless you're using a 4000K monitor, which, of course, you can always donate to me. Of course. Please. So pick somewhere around, I don't know, 720p. Nothing that's too big, of course. And resolution, you don't need to worry about that. And really, that's it. You want to make sure enable default light is turned off because we're going to have to create our own lighting in the scene. Alright then. So now mental raise our render engine. We got our image size set up. Our cameras are now all nice and ready to go. We got perspective on one side and our render camera on other, so we can navigate between the two very smoothly. Our camera is now locked. We are ready and set to go now with our modeling. Is the orange fruit named after the color? Or is the color named after the fruit? And now, I have a migraine.